5 ways funeral homes had to adapt during the pandemic. I'm Nathan, musician, spent 13 years in the funeral profession. Yes, we did have to adapt. And before we dive into that, be sure to subscribe right here because all the time we're releasing exclusive only content on YouTube, and click that bell so you get notified when we do release new content. You're going to notice that I'm very happy. I'm always happy. I'm very happy. My single Yet, that I'm not ready to go yet moment, pandemic, COVID created for so many of us, gathering around a casket. It's never the right time. It's the last time you're going to see your loved one on this side of life. That I'm not ready to go yet moment sparked Yet. Yet, my single is number 18 nationwide at radio. It is true. In the description, click the link if you want to stream it. If you have streamed it, continue to and share it with a friend. And I want to say thank you. Thank you very much. I never in a million years thought this would happen. I knew it would happen, but to the scale in which it's happening, I want to say thank you for being a part of this with me. It means so very much. Okay, 5 ways in which funeral profession had to adapt during the pandemic. Governor Beshear in Kentucky would get information to us. 10 people can come, but then it would change to 25 people. We would constantly be pivoting because we would get this information. We would get it to our staff. If we had just had an arrangement with a family and it was 10 people, could you imagine only being able to select 10? Selecting 10? Okay, 10 people. There's way more people that love you and those you love. Couldn't imagine having to do that. But then after you've arranged that, then I have to say, okay, well, now it's 25. And then sometimes it would go back to 10. It was overwhelming. So pivoting in that way, getting information, getting it to staff, getting it to families, getting it, if that's the right way to say it, was overwhelming. And then you had the funeral homes were locked down. So another way we had to pivot. You had the doors were shut, but the phones were ringing and constantly going in and out. Families were having to come into a specific part of the funeral home. And luckily, one of our locations had direct access from the parking lot. So in the event there were 10 family members, we had the funeral home itself locked off, blocked off, and this tiny little space where families gathered, whether it was 10 or 25. And even then, another way we pivoted was the people who weren't able to physically be present. How do we get it to them? We started live streaming. Now, live streaming has been around for quite some time. Like on TikTok, every Sunday night I go live, and it's subscription, $5.99 a month. Consider subscribing right this very second. Click the link in the description so that you can. $5.99 a month gets you exclusive access to exclusive content. Every Sunday night we do go live, $5.99 a month. Click that link in the description. We, as funeral professionals, not everyone's tech savvy, so implementing live streaming was a challenge, but it was done and done effectively. We brought in a production company to help us live stream, and then beautifully, that live stream of the service became a video, became a memorial that families can now have, revisit, go back to when and if they so choose. Another way we did pivot is we got tired of community not being able to gather, because especially during the pandemic, we gather as a community because community supports one another. Yes, but you like to know and see that people love someone that you love. That is a part of it. You know, we gather and it's like, wow, they're here because they love this person that I love so much. So if you remember the time when the restaurants were like, okay, the doors are shut to the inside, but we're going to set up a big tent with walls and a door on the outside that you could come into. Do you remember that? That was nuts. And whatever side you're on, we took the visitation to the people. We created a drive-by visitation. Not drive-through. You drive through McDonald's. You drive by. We had the tent like that you would see at a cemetery. And we would put the flowers that families would still send. And instead of the smaller floral cards, they were these massive where you could see the big bold print of the names. So people that were driving by could see their arrangement had been received. It was a way for families who, yes, had to sit on the other side of a rope, but they were able to see all these cars, and we would facilitate and coordinate the cars and the traffic. It was a sight to see. And then another way in which we pivoted is we had to adapt when we would lose staff to COVID. You know, funeral professionals were not invincible to the virus either. So whenever 1 went down, 2 went down, 3 went down, and the death calls would continue to come in. I recall Christine and myself were the last 2 standing. We were caring for so many human loved ones, and we had the pet cremation service at the time, and we looked at each other so concerned because it's like, if one of us goes, it's not good. And we adapted because we just had to become more resourceful with who we had. And it was a time, the pandemic, realizing that there are so many people in the profession, the funeral profession, the one that I love so very much, that care so deeply for you all. And they're incredible people. And they showed up. They continued showing up. They were overworked and arguably still are to a degree. You had this push forward effect, and now you have all of these baby boomers that are starting to die. There's not necessarily enough, arguably, funeral directors to care for and tend to the deaths, not only then, but as we continue and enter into the baby boomer world. We adapted in so many ways. We implemented technology in a special way. We created a sense of community whenever you couldn't necessarily physically have one. The people in this profession are incredible. COVID taught us a lot. It created very tight relationships, and it sparked in our hearts a desire and a continued willingness to show up. And I appreciate you showing up right here. Please forgive the mess as we continue to update, rearrange. We're rearranging a rearranged studio, painting walls now. So this little makeshift studio, only temporary, but it's okay. Thank you for being here. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to click the bell and click the description, the link to stream yet. And consider meeting me over at Subscribers Only on TikTok, $5.99 a month. And you're a lot far more than you could ever know. All we know is that we have this moment. Be present, be kind, show up for yourself and show up for others. And I'll see you around the riverbed. Don't want to say goodbye. Bye. That's not funny.